Hey friends, what's up? Ash here with Gents. Hope you're having an awesome day. Today I'd like to talk to you about some fragrances that would make awesome signature scents. Now I did a video based on signature scents about a year ago, and actually my wife is the one that pointed that out and hounded me to do another one. So shout out to her, because otherwise I wouldn't be making this video. But anyway, in that older video that I did last year about signature scents, if memory serves correctly, it was more so about fragrances that I thought would work in so many different situations that you'd be safe with it being your signature pretty much anytime. Today we're taking a slightly different path to looking at signature scents or potential signature scents, because a lot of the fragrances here today are fragrances that would work in a specific situation or time or season. So instead of being like an all year scent, maybe it's more of a fall and wintertime scent, stuff like that. Each one of these fragrances I think shines in its own right, some real bangers here. So let's jump into it and check these out. And like I often do, we've got a mix of fragrances here, some niche, some designer, covering all our bases. Before I jump into these, let me hit you guys with some codes. First up, luckyscent.com, Gents10. Save yourself 10% off the entire website. Lucky Scent is pretty much the biggest niche indie retailer in the US, so save yourself a little money on whatever you want to buy from there. And twistedlily.com also has the code Gents10 for 10% off, also a niche retailer. Both those really good. Links in the description to those. And jomashop.com, Gents8, save yourself $8 off any order over $110. Try to get that one out real quick. So let's jump into these fragrances. The first one that I'll talk about will be this one, Varvatos XX Artisan. Now, I actually think this is a lot better than it gets credit for, because it didn't really get any love when it came out and just kind of immediately fell by the wayside. But I think this is a hyper versatile fragrance with a great classy touch to it. So this one has an interesting citrus opening, because one of the more prominent citrus notes that you'll pick up is bitter orange, which you don't see used all that often, and it gives it this really nice tartness and a slight green edge. Then you have Sichuan pepper in here, so a little pop, a little fiery pop of pepper, and then vetiver, very prominently featured in the dry down, along with some other woody notes like cedar. So vetiver fragrances oftentimes are going to give you that classiness, like I mentioned before when I first brought this fragrance up, makes it an awesome, more formal situation fragrance with a nice freshness to the scent as well, and a great office choice. It's a little bit more along the lines of something like Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver. So the way vetiver comes across in that fragrance is a little bit similar to how it comes across here. And I guess it doesn't hurt that the bottle here is also silver, or I guess you could say kind of metallic gray vetiver. So even though that doesn't get a ton of love or a ton of hype, I think it's really good. Next fragrance is Carved Oud. This is one of my newer pickups. This fragrance has a similarity to Tom Ford's Oud Wood. Now, there are a number of fragrances out there, both cheap and expensive, that have similarities to Oud Wood. So what really makes this one stand out? Well, first off, it has a magnetic cap. So do I need to say any more? I do? What? Having a magnetic cap is not the end-all be-all of fragrances? Are you sure about that? Okay, fine. I'll give you some other reasons then. It has a blue bottle. Oh, that also doesn't? Okay, whatever. Seriously though, this fragrance has cardamom, this great warm spiciness. Of course, it has oud along with additional woody notes. It's got patchouli, even a touch of iris in there, just a little smidge. So carved oud has a little more staying power than oud would. One of the complaints that some people will have with oud wood is, for an oud fragrance that's quite expensive, maybe it doesn't stick around quite long enough. It doesn't push out quite hard enough, and carved oud does it a bit better. Also, carved oud, even though it does have a strong similarity to oud wood, is a bit smoother, a little bit richer. Has this really nice, slightly creamy sweetness to it, and the spiciness. I still love oud wood, I always will, but carved oud, as far as I've smelled anyway, that might just be the best oud wood type of scent. Okay, let's take it back down to the designer realm once again. Hugo Boss The Scent Absolute. This one has ginger, Maninka, and vetiver as some of the notes in the fragrance, and it has that Maninka sweetness that you've come to expect across the entire The Scent line. This one is ever so slightly more of a formal take on the Scent DNA, a little bit easier to pull off in situations like that. And again, a little bit of a slight classy edge to it as compared to some of the others in the line. Now, to be fair, this is not my favorite in the Scent line. That would be Private Accord. That's my personal favorite to smell. But as far as just getting a little extra versatility out of the fragrance, I think Absolute would probably be better for more people out there. Now we're going to Carolina Herrera. This fragrance I just got in not that long ago, but man, has it really blown me away. Mystery Tobacco. I paid out the nose for this stuff from Fragrance Buy. I mean, to be fair, I saved money, but it's still crazy expensive, over $200 for the fragrance for a Carolina Herrera. But of course, this is from their higher end line, so you do expect it to cost more, and honestly, you get your money's worth. I can't complain. Bottle is heavy in your hand. Like, this really has some heft. And what's that? Oh, a magnetic cap. Yes, again, I don't know. I like magnetic cap. I'm like a small child. Magnetic caps are cool. So Mystery Tobacco, this is going to fall into the style of fragrance like Carlisle or Mancera Red Tobacco. It's quite similar to those two because those two are quite similar to each other. It has patchouli, tonka, guaiac wood, ginger, citrus, and of course, tobacco in the fragrance. This is gonna be a little bit like carved oud. I sampled this one first. I got a sample from scentsplit.com, tried it out, really enjoyed it, and went and splurged for the bottle. So I kind of knew what I was in for, obviously. But giving this wear over the last couple days, I think it's probably better than Red Tobacco or Carlisle. The opening is way easier to stomach than the opening of Red Tobacco, which can be a little bit off-putting for a lot of people. It's smoother here. And the additional sweetness that I pick up from Mystery Tobacco just makes it almost addictive. Like, I keep going in on this stuff, just smelling it again and again and again and again and again and again and again all day. After that, Dolce & Gabbana's The One Luminous Night. Oh, look at it. It says exclusive edition. That means it's hard to find. And it is. It's harder to find than Royal Night. It's harder to find than Mysterious Night. As of this video, it's available on Joma Shop, but I don't know for how long. And all these will be linked in the description in case you want to check them out. But The One Luminous Night is probably the best The One flanker since The One Eau de Parfum. So it's kind of frustrating that it's an exclusive edition that's difficult to locate in the US because it's one of the ones you really, really, really would like to locate. Incense, amber, sandalwood, pepper, and dates. Some of the notes in the fragrance has this awesome sweetness to it. A little bit darker than you would expect from most sweet designer fragrances, but it still maintains that The One DNA, that compliment pulling nature. Great evening fragrance, great date night fragrance because it has dates. This is great for date nights. That's a terrible dad joke. Just I didn't commit to it. I stopped like halfway through. But anyway, Luminous Night is absolutely fantastic, and my wife loves this stuff. Let's keep it fresh. Let's keep it summery with the next one, Missoni Wave. This one has got a lot of love, a lot of hype. Doesn't hurt that it's cheap, and the presentation is nice, and I'm just really leaning into it at this point, but magnetic cap. This smells a bit like Versace's Pour Homme. It smells a bit like Chanel Allure Homme Sport, but the best of each one of those fragrances. Take those pieces, mix it together. What you got? C notes, citrus, lavender, clary, sage, and a little bit of vetiver make up the notes. Absolutely love this stuff. So easy to wear, big compliment puller, and great versatility. Oh, this next one's a biggie. Ganymede. This is another fragrance like Mystery Tobacco that I sampled first because I heard the rumblings in the fragrance community about how good this was. So I got a sample, loved the stuff, and then picked it up from Lucky Scent. I paid full retail for it, but you don't have to. Gents 10% off. You remember that? That's a callback. That's, I think, what they call that. I don't know. This has mineral notes. It has suede. It has violet. It has saffron. And I really pick up the minerality in here. I've seen some people say, no, I get mainly leather, no minerality at all for me, which I always find very odd because even smelling from the atomizer, it sparkles with like a minerality. There's no real other way to put it. It's like this clean and yet earthy feeling, you know, like scrubbed stone or something. That may not sound good, but it is absolutely killer. I really love this stuff. And that one has great versatility as well. I actually put that in my top 10 summer list for niche. And even though it's not really a summer type fragrance, still works. It's kind of like a year-round fragrance for me, I would say. Now we're going back to another couple fresh fragrances here. Next up, Bulgari Man Wood Neroli. This is just a great dumb reach fragrance. Type of scent that you can grab, spray, and go pretty much anywhere, anytime. Yeah, it's more of a spring, summertime fragrance, but when you have that woodiness, that clean, fresh woodiness in here, you can pull that off anywhere, anytime. Sometimes these fragrances take on a completely different scent profile depending on the temperature. So something that you think is only good for summertime, wear it in the winter, it might surprise you. So this obviously has woods and neroli in it. Also has bergamot in here, a good amount of citrus, has orange blossom, so additional white florals, a bit of musk as well. And this is a really nice, classy, yet super versatile fragrance. Younger guys can pull this off, older guys can pull this off. Awesome office fragrance. Bulgari Man line has a lot of solid fragrances in it, and oftentimes not too terrible from discounters as far as the price goes. So love that one, Bulgari Man Wood Neroli. Absolutely check that stuff out. Oh, now we got another good one here. Gentleman Cologne from Givenchy. This one gets talked about probably the least outside of Gentleman Eau de Toilette in the line, because people really, they gravitate toward those darker iris fragrances in the line, which makes sense. Gentleman Eau de Parfum and all the more recent flankers, those get all the love. This still has that iris, but it's a very different take on iris. It's not that darker, creamy, rich, sweet, makeup-y type of iris. Here it's mixed with Petitgrain and citrus and musk and vetiver. So instead, what you end up getting is a very fresh iris that's not as powdery as like the Prada irises. This one instead is a little bit more green around the edges with like a watery sort of feel and a great fresh woodiness. It is more of a springtime fragrance, but because it is so wearable, so approachable, so classy, again, I think you can really wear it just about any time you want. And unfortunately, like I said, it is overlooked. Or maybe that is fortunately, because that means not as many people are going to be wearing that at all. So it'll stand out even more, at least as much as a really well-known designer line can stand out. And last but not least, from Raja Parfums, it is Scandal Parfum Cologne. Thought about making it Scandal Parfum, but that is quite a bit pricier. I feel like for the majority of people, this is probably going to do just as good a job. So Parfum Cologne. Also, the bottle is cool because it's colorful. People like that. Now, this one is going to give you a bit of a throwback style to it, throwback feel. This one is a little more mature than most of the other fragrances in this list. It's more of what people might consider a gentlemanly fragrance, a businessman type of fragrance, an office type of fragrance. It's going to give you a similar sort of feel as something like Dior's Eau Sauvage. So if fragrances like that come across to you as being dated, as something that you wouldn't wear, then it is possible that this would come across the same way to you. So you're gonna get florals in here, you're gonna get aromatics, you're gonna get lemon, you're gonna get oak moss, as well lavender. You're gonna get that whole makeup of the classic masculine fragrance. All those notes that you associate with that type of scent, you'll find them here. Still yet though, if you're somebody middle-aged and older and you want to put across that air of sophistication pretty much anywhere you go, and you want something that has that versatility that it can be some reach fragrance for you, even though it's kind of expensive, that would work wonders. So there we go, guys. 10 more fragrances that I find to be signature scent worthy. Some of these are more just super versatile fragrances that you can pull off anywhere. Others, like I said earlier in the video, are more concentrated on a specific time or place, but they could still be the type of fragrance that you want to associate yourself with, because these are the type of fragrances, at least that I've found, that work wonders in getting positive attention. All right, guys, I'm gonna head out of here. Let me know in the comments below some of your signature scents or your signature scent in general. Like I've said before, when I was younger, my signature scent was Acqua di Gio. I wore the heck out of that stuff. Nowadays, I could probably give you like 10 to 20 fragrances that are like my personal signature scents, but I cycle through so much stuff at this point. It's hard to say, or impossible to say, that I have just one. All right, I'm out of here. Stay safe out there. See you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.